Warning: World Weary Podcasts occasionally discusses mature themes and uses colorful language.
Welcome to the legendary World Weary Podcast, hosted by two truly mythical women who hail from different sides of the Atlantic Ocean. I'm the British one, Violet Starr.
And I'm the American one, Cassiopeia Walker.
I'm not joking when I say that we're feeling pretty mythical right now, because we're sitting here at a little table with a magic, enchanted crystal bowl on the table that I bought earlier from B&M for about $4.99.
Oh, it's beautiful.
It's absolutely gorgeous, and I believe it's powered by magic, or maybe that's LEDs, fairies trapped inside a globe.
I'm going to go with the fairies.
Okay, we'll say fairies. We'll take a picture of that at some point so you can see what we're talking about.
Glamorous.
Every week, we explore all things weird and woo-woo, the incredible and the extraordinary, in an attempt to escape from the terror of our own real lives. For me, this past week, there are lots of little things that have been causing my feelings of weariness. In fact, I think I can hone it down to like three little things in particular. Number one, British politics. Sigh away. It feels so dauntingly terrible and incomprehensible to me that, as usual, I have just mentally locked that away in a box that I'm not going to open, and the only way that I can get on with my life is by pretending that it isn't happening. I did vote, by the way, but I always do a postal vote because I just can't cope with all the excited people asking me questions at the polling station.
People talk at the polling station?
Yeah, they ask you who you're voting for and... Number two, I'm annoyed that I've discovered that drinking more than one glass of wine in a sitting makes me feel very tired and rough, and I'm still in my 20s. Too much beer gives me bloating, cider gives me a headache, drinking gin means I wake up with a lot of regret in the morning. I'm gonna have to keep... The only way I can see forward is I'm just gonna have to keep trying different alcohols, and then eventually they're all gonna make me feel unwell, and I'll have no choice but to become teetotal, and I'll get really fat because comfort eating a family-sized tiramisu will be the only way I can treat myself. And number three, last but not least, I told you this, but I booked myself in for a hairdresser's appointment for the first time in well over a year. Women's cut and blow dry so expensive.
Yeah.
And I know that they're going to try and lull me into a false sense of security.
Yeah. And
then chop off way more of my hair than I asked for.
The only time I've been to the hairdresser in however many years, because I'm so I can't spend the money. I've been giving myself terrible haircuts and living with it for years. And that's because I would rather look like shit
than pay.
And I'm buying wigs now.
It's like £70 just to get a couple of inches badly chopped off and a hairdryer.
Yeah. And the only time I went was when I was chopping it all off to donate to the Princess Foundation in the UK. And that's the only time, because I was like, well, they can't chop off too much because I'm getting rid of it all anyway. So we're fine. But I don't trust anybody.
I mean, to be fair, the reason I am doing this is because my hair, it requires a lot of styling to look acceptable in public. That's just the truth. And the ends of my hair are really ratty and dry, and I don't know what's happened to my fringe. It's just turned into 3 greasy strands of hair that sits oddly on my face. So I'm hoping that it'll feel nice and fresh and ship-shape.
Yeah, hopefully I can do that for July. Maybe in July I'll treat myself.
This is like my 10 days before my birthday kind of treat. Yeah. I'm not going to have a big party or anything this year. I'm just going to get myself a haircut.
Yeah, I think the same. I'm definitely at most having a tiny gathering of maybe 3 people that care.
It's always the way.
I'm at the point where
adult
I don't care.
Life. Yeah. But we have a couple good people show up. We've had some nice dinner parties. You hosted a great barbecue recently.
Yes, we did an impromptu barbecue. It was amazing.
It was delicious. and we basically had a personal chef do all the barbecuing for us, which was nice. My partner loves barbecuing. In fact, he's sort of almost OCD with his barbecuing, so everything's perfectly barbecued. Yeah. Is there anything that's been making you particularly weary other than party planning?
I'm trying to think. I don't think anything's made me particularly weary. Yeah, just recently we basically, this winter we survived some pretty tragic events, and it's one of those things where months later something has come back to bite us, and so I'm dealing with that. It's just like unexpected expenses. And because the way things went down, it's just like, it's just a bit much at the moment. So I'm just, juggling shit. And that's what's making me weary, is just having to juggle things and never feeling like I'm actually secure. It's just always this struggle.
Mm-hmm. Whenever you seem to go for a tragedy, there's always you think, oh, it can't get worse than this.
And it does.
And then little things come up, little niggling problems and random expenses and bad surprises.
It's nothing we can't handle necessarily, but it's just not needed. And it was just a slap to the face because you're trying to mourn, but you're also trying to accept things. And then the dead are not martyred when they die. Sometimes they've made mistakes.
There's bills left
Sometimes
over.
they lie to you before they die because they're lazy.
Oh, it's like when you promised I would inherit your My Little Pony collection.
Did I?
I'm joking.
Oh, I was about to say, that's in America, so I must have been some kind of drunk when I promised that. Because I do have My Little Pony collection.
I saw in the shop today an amazing light-up pony unicorn, like a big LED figurine.
Oh, wow.
But it was £10.
I mean, I have OG My Little Pony back at America in the attic, is all I'm saying. OG. Take that, bronies.
Well, this is World Weary Podcast, where we not only vent our personal problems, but we also try our hand at storytelling.
Ooh.
Each week, we take turns to host an episode, which means picking a topic, something weird, something woo-woo, or something just extraordinary. And this week, I am in charge, and I have picked urban legends. So, without further ado, here is today's main event. Greenock is a town in Scotland, not far from Glasgow. Glasgow. It sits on the south bank of the River Clyde, so it's got that Scottish fishing port town vibe.
Ooh.
In the past, it was famous for shipbuilding, of course. Now, it's better known for lovely Victorian buildings, a prison, HMP Greenock, and a local urban legend. On a long, narrow lane between the town centre and the east end of Greenock, the kind you might be a bit scared to walk down in the dark, and that goes for men too. Something or somebody lurked in the shadows.
No, don't get me crazy. I'm scared already.
Tales of glowing eyes seen in the darkness, crawling in the hedgerows and sheltering inside drains and tunnels. Dishevelled, skin blackened with dirt and soot, sometimes munching on a dead rat.
Is this one of our friends? You know which one. Has he also got a cigarette butt?
The children of Greenock didn't need a boogeyman because they had their own. The Greenock Catman.
Oh, no.
From the late 70s, the rumours of the Catman circulated amongst the locals. Some said the Catman was a feral beast unknown to mankind. Some said he was a disturbed vagrant surviving on the edge of society. And others thought it was an old wives' tale or a prank that had gone too far. The Catman's supposed lair was close to an abandoned railway tunnel, and children would dare each other to enter the dark tunnel and see how far they could walk into its unknown depths before the Catman got them.
Oh, this is sounding like it.
It really, something like creeping around in the drains.
That's what...
Glowing yellow eyes.
Yeah, maybe Stephen King got a little bit of inspiration.
certainly Pennywise is definitely a bit of a boogeyman character.
Yes, of course. Yeah, he is the ultimate.
Episode 2, when we talk about Boggarts and how that's
right.
linked into like the boogeyman kind of thing, and Pennywise is a perfect example of a Boggart or a boogeyman. Through the 80s and 90s, locals recalled occasionally seeing a man in ragged clothes hunched inside a large concrete drainage pipe, carrying a dead rat in his mouth. He was thought to have a den somewhere close to this long alleyway in the town, and people remembered seeing this kind of area where he sheltered in these bushes next to the lane, and some locals left food and flasks of tea and warm clothes out for him. No one's sure where the name the Catman came from, but some locals said that he was known to hang out with stray cats, that he was feeding cats, and there was cat food like left out on the lane in this area that he kind of lived around. People also said that he behaved like a cat. He thought he was a cat maybe, and he ate mice and rats and crawled around on all fours, living wild in the bushes, and hence that's why he was dubbed the Catman. So the legend of the Catman, over, several decades, became a very good story to scare local children and people stumbling out of the pubs too late at night, making them wary of walking down this long lane alone. The myth of the Greenock Catman started to kind of fade in the 90s and 2000s until in the late 2000s, mobile phone footage and subsequent photographs of the Catman started to go viral.
No! Oh my god.
Okay.
He's real. I've heard about this.
Okay, we're gonna watch a clip. This is the original, I think this is the original mobile phone footage.
Oh my gosh. I remember when this went viral. Oh no.
Come on. Hey, Paul. You want me to do so? Push it up. I can see it. Hey. Come on, make it good to you.
This is the most disturbing video I've ever seen. And I've seen this, I remember seeing this back in the day and I forgot about it. It was so
Come on, Rashid. Rashid, he's cool. He's a good man.
Oh my god, that is intensely disturbing and sad now that there's an actual face behind this legend. It's actually a man with clear, mental struggles, living his life as a cat, eating rats in the alley, barely clothed, sooty faced. It is exactly how it was just. What the fuck?
Okay, I'm just going to describe to you guys what we just saw in that video. So there's this guy, an older looking guy, covered in dirt and what looks like soot. He's lying on his front on the ground. He's got a dead rat and he lifts it to his mouth and he appears to like bite into it or hold it in his jaws. And then he gives like a kind of cute thumbs up when the guys are communicating with him. It's, it's suddenly not actually so horrific unless it's a brilliant prank.
Yeah.
Then it reveals that beneath this dark and terrifying Catman legend, there is an apparently harmless and vulnerable individual. Okay, so I'm just going to show you a whole bunch of photos. We're going to pop these on Instagram and World Weary Podcast, so make sure you check those out for the full image visual experience.
Oh.
But here's...
Oh my gosh.
So at this point, people are like posing with him, like when they
he does have yellow eyes in that. How is that possible? Is that edited? And
here he is, like under a bus, I think. So his den was near this bus garage where he hung out. And there's pictures of people like feeding him. There's some other pictures I've seen of him like drinking alcohol that someone's given him.
That can't be his skin color, is it? That's weird.
Yeah, it's like a Caucasian man, it seems to be, but covered in like soot. Or like dirt, or like engine
kind of bruising
grease
going on. Weird. He's got glowing yellow eyes in all the pictures. I guess it's just the camera lighting.
But he knows to do a thumbs up.
Oh, wow.
So he seems kind of friendly.
He's just living his Catman life, I guess.
And a lot of
There's
the
so
pictures,
many
he's got the
pictures.
rat in the mouth. In that one, like, the rat seems to have blood on it, so it's like pretty obvious he's like trying to eat it or he's bitten it.
Oh, in this picture they've given him chips.
Yeah, it looks like someone's feeding him some food. So, do those pictures and that footage make it seem like it's a very elaborate hoax or prank, or do you think it's true?
It's either that's a very elaborate hoax. If they've got that many people taking pictures, that's very well done, is all I'm going to say. Very well done. And you have to have a lot of rat corpses to pull that off.
And fake blood.
If it's a hoax, very well done, because that looks very real.
So, of course, all these photos and the video clip go viral. They're in the newspapers. I remember when this was actually in the Sun newspaper, and it was very surreal, but exactly the kind of news story that I'm interested in. So this footage and the photographs are, of course, so convincing that the social services department in Greenock, actually they go out and they try and locate and assist this man, but apparently they didn't have any luck in finding him, or if they did, they kept it quiet. So there's a couple of short documentaries on the Catman I watched, and I'll link those on our website diary page. You should definitely watch them because the investigators in those documentaries visit a bus garage close to his den where he's supposed to hang out a lot, and they talk to local people about what they know about the Catman, which is always fascinating to hear. Like,
that's the best bit.
And all the like myths and stuff that people, and the elaborations on the story, and then people who really seem to have seen him a lot and they, know more of the truth behind it. A lot of the locals are convinced the Catman is real and not a hoax. In one of the documentaries, a guy claims that he used to see the Catman all the time from his flat that overlooked the bushes where the Catman lived. And others testified that, he was just a shy guy. He seemed scared of coming out of the bushes, and they would push food and stuff towards the bushes so he could reach it. And a lot of the locals seemed to hold a genuine affection for the Catman. So, supposing the Catman is real, what might be the truth behind his identity? Well, the facts that remain the same in any evidence you hear for the Catman are that he lives rough in Greenock, he eats rats and mice and food that's given to him by locals, and he doesn't seem to be able to speak. One of the theories that is quite interesting and plays into his name as the Greenock Catman is that it's not a coincidence that the Catman legend appears in the late 70s. That's when it starts to be circulated around. Following the decline in the shipbuilding industry in Greenock. So the shipyards and stuff there, you obviously got a lot of rats, and they needed cats around to eat the mice and rats. So they would employ, literally, a Catman to feed the cats and look after them.
Oh, okay.
So that was like a job. You could be the Catman.
I would love that job.
Maybe the Greenock Catman used to do this as a job, and then he lost his job and ended up living rough in the bushes in town, hanging out with the cats.
Yeah, I could see that.
Depending which local you speak to, the theories about who the Catman is range from a Russian sailor with a broken jaw, a homeless shipyard worker, or someone who suffered a serious injury or brain damage that resulted in them not being able to communicate properly, and they ended up being homeless. Of course, a lot of other people also think it could be someone with mental health issues or learning difficulties that's ended up homeless. You might question how someone managed to survive living rough like that all those years, essentially in the town centre, in bushes and round the back of like a bus garage. But it sounds like, for the most part, the Greenock locals kind of looked after him and protected him, which would explain how he'd lived like that for so long. It sounded like people were regularly giving him like drinks and food and like clothes in the winter. In recent years, there hasn't been any news or sightings of the Catman or his whereabouts. Some locals speculate that he may have died, or that he was taken into hospital and put into some kind of care situation. So he did seem pretty old after all, and if he'd been doing that since
and they do it anonymously, they wouldn't even know his name necessarily.
So fencing had also been put all along the lane that he used to frequent. which would have made survival hard for him, you know, because he can't really access the lane. You're like trapped behind like a fence and a wall, basically.
Oh no.
So hopefully, you know, social services did intervene. And if this was all real, of course, and he got the care and support that he needed. So what do we think? I don't know. What do you...
Yeah, I mean, if it's a hoax, that's very well done. It is interesting to note that in most of the pictures, he's got the signature yellow eyes. And though the people change with him, he relatively remains the same looking. And it wouldn't be hard to have like 3 or 4 rat props, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, I'm not outside the possibility that, yeah, it's a shipyard dude. The Russian with a fucked up jaw is very specific.
Yeah.
The Russian sailor with a broken jaw. I like the story. I believe in the Greenock Catman. I will say that.
I think I totally believe it after reading about it. I think it proves my theory that, you know, a lot of urban legends stem from a reality.
Yeah, a kernel of truth.
Yeah, especially back in the day, it probably was easier to have some guy living rough in the bushes on the edge of town, or even, you know, just an eccentric person who did weird stuff. Now there's too much health and safety and houses and trespassing. There's no bushes left. And I'm all for people living in hedgerows eating rats, you know. If that's what makes you happy,
yeah,
you do you.
Live your best life.
Yeah, I really think it could be true.
I think maybe, yeah. I think he was secreted away. Like, basically, they probably found him, like you said, and, you know, whatever they learned about him, it's not going to make sexy headline news for, you know, like, they probably wanted... A system like that would probably keep him anonymous for his safety and his, you know, mental health. You know, you want to isolate them from that spectacle that the world would make it. So if that did happen, I'm happy for him, because that means because we haven't heard anything, it's probably good news, because it's a corpse in the middle of town would be pretty easy to find. And him walking around, he'd have been spotted if he was like leaving town.
The moral of the tale is then, behind every urban legend there might just be a very sad story. But, you know, the Catman seemed like a harmless character, and I wish him the best.
Good luck, Catman.
All right, Violet. So today I'm going to tell you a classic Maryland-based urban legend. Straight from the swamps. I hope everyone should be at home with their popcorn and chocolate mix. Maybe a campfire.
Is it camping vibes?
It's like camp vibes. I'm going to tell you this story as if I'm sat in front of you at the campfire trying to creep you out.
Okay.
Trigger warning.
Sweet.
Okay, so get cozied up as I tell you the most real, most terrifying, most extraordinary urban legend the swamps have to offer. It's the 1950s Maryland along the Beltway. If you don't know what the Beltway is...
I don't.
Okay, so it's the interstate highway, the 495, that encircles Washington, D.C., but it goes through Maryland and Virginia and several counties in both.
Is a highway the same as a motorway?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. It's an interstate one, though, so it goes between states, because for people that don't know, D.C. is its own district, but it takes a bit of territory from Maryland and Virginia. So it crosses both, and this beltway is around DC. So it's very important for politicians and people who live just outside of DC in nice areas. So it's sort of this huge area, many counties this 495 goes around. 1957. This is the picture of the road we're speaking about.
Okay.
A lovely, beautiful...
It kind of looks eerie in that black and white photo, though.
A young couple are parked on a quiet country road in Maryland, Fletchertown Road in Bowie. It's nighttime, and the couple is doing what young couples do in a car on an isolated road.
This is very American.
Yeah. When suddenly, a strange sound alarms them. It's the distinct sound of violent banging. The couple look up simultaneously to see a humanoid creature, roughly 7 to 8 feet tall, or 213 to 243 centimeters, and a weight of most likely 300 to 350 pounds, or 25 stone.
That's pretty huge and heavy.
It banged fiercely on the hood of the car. It was partially covered in a thick, greasy fur, with the upper body of a man, but with 2 recognizable horns on its massively terrible head and the lower body of a goat. The creature paused at its banging for only a moment, long enough for the couple to notice the large axe it held in its hand. Within the blink of an eye, the creature stopped its banging, spun around, and retreated into the thick woods of Fletcher Road, leaving the couple trembling with fear. The couple would never forget the Goatman of Maryland. The couple reported the incident, but it sparks no serious alarm, and the incident is soon forgotten in the small area of Bowie. 5 years go by, and it's the summer of '62. A group of hikers, including 2 adult chaperones and 12 children, were hiking near Fletcher Town Road, enjoying the beautiful Maryland sunshine. They settled to camp for the night when they realized they had made a fatal mistake. They unwittingly had camped close to the Goatman's lair.
What does his lair look like?
It's a cave.
Okay.
Creepy cave. While the campers slept, the Goatman took his revenge. When the police arrived to the crime scene, it was not difficult for them to follow the bloody trail that led to the campsite. It was a mess of bloody, half-eaten limbs and bodies strewn carelessly on the site and trail. 2 survivors, a young boy, and a young girl, were the only ones left. They remain anonymous to this day, and their statements claim that the Goatman violently hacked their friends and mentors, dragging them one by one to a cave nearby as they watched petrified behind the trees. A bloody trail was followed, but nothing was found in the cave other than the traces of blood and hair from victims. They said the Goatman never spoke the entire time he butchered the campers. The next year, a young couple were enjoying an evening stroll along the infamous Fletchertown Road when they spot a strange creature staring at them from within the cover of the woods. It was the Goatman. The woman described the creature as tall, ragged animal with human-like features. But then things go quiet until the 1970s. The story goes, a woman hears her pet dog barking outside in an unusual manner. It's a woman and a group of her friends.
Okay.
They look through the curtains, a cursory check for the pooch. To her surprise, she sees the shadowy figure of an indistinguishable, large creature moving toward the dog. The dog tied helplessly as the creature stole it and disappeared into the woods.
Oh, so it took the dog.
Yeah. The Goatman stole the dogs and retreats into the woods. The next day, the woman, they're too scared to look for the dog. So the next day when it's daylight, they go out looking for the dog, and it's not long before they find the dog decapitated on the side of Fletchertown Road.
They have, like, police reports for, like, the murders and the decapitated dog.
We'll get there.
Okay. I have to know this stuff.
You gotta listen to this story. Alright. This sparks fear once more of the Goatman's return. Here is the real-life news article of the incident. In the November 1971 edition of Prince George County News, the front page headline reads, "Residents fear Goatman lives. Dog found decapitated in Old Bowie." A photo of the remains of the dog was published.
Ugh.
The canine belonged to April Edwards and had disappeared after she and friends had reported hearing strange noises in their yard the previous night. They also stated reports that the animal-like creature walked on its hind legs and that the legs were unusual and backwards. It had also been reported to be seen by others in the area. Coverage of the Goatman continued until its final story of the 70s on November 24th, about a month later. The article speaks of a Mrs. Evelyn Johnson, a resident of Fletchertown Road, who had reported trouble and harassment from Goatman hunters. This included an incident where the road was blocked off by a truckload of people who had claimed they had captured the creature.
Goatman hunters going around. God, that would be epic. Can you imagine if you got like a little team of your friends together to go hunting like an evil monster that you're totally like allowed to go hunting for?
So Mrs. Johnson had to call the police just to get home.
Hold on. You know what this reminds me of?
What?
The leprechaun hunter.
Yeah.
Was that in Atlanta? The leprechaun?
Alabama. Mobile, Alabama. I almost did that as my Little People story. When we do the next one, that's why I want to save it, because when we do the next one, I found updated news about it. I've got a whole story to write about it, and I can't wait to share it because there's updated news. And I don't... Wait, let me just turn off the mic real quick so I can tell you. Anyway, I probably ruined that episode for you, but not for the listener. Okay, so...
Yeah, I was going to say, you have to watch the leprechaun video with the leprechaun hunter with the magic flute from Ireland. It's brilliant.
It is great.
It's ingrained
passed down
in my mind.
generations to generations. Must be a crackhead that got hold of the wrong stuff. It's like, I used to have that as my ringtone for 3 years when I first moved over here. And imagine that going off. It happened when I was in, I just want to know where the gold at. Yes, that's going to be definitely its own special at some point.
We're going to do a whole leprechaun episode one day.
Oh yeah, I think, we're going to do...
There's so many good leprechauns.
At least you know what I'm going to do, at least.
Okay, sorry, back to Goatman.
Okay, yeah. So, I'm going to read the following reported incidents throughout the years. We've got a list. April 1971, Huntington, Maryland. A farmer near Fletchertown Road reported seeing a large, man-like creature eating the remains of a pig. When he approached the scene, the creature ran off. September 1976, Woodmore, Maryland. A landscaper at the Woodmore Country Club. A landscaper at the Woodmore Country Club finds an unidentified remains on the golf course near
Golf course.
I can't get.
Oh no! Cassie's just spilled beer on the floor.
Oh god.
We're going to save this for a snippet at some point.
That's why I can't speak. Okay, so a farmer near Fletchertown Road, September 1976, Woodmore, Maryland. A landscaper at the Woodmore Country Club finds unidentified remains on the golf course near Lotsford Road. While attempting to dispose of the remains, shady, he looks up and observes a large unknown animal.
Ooh.
Glendale, Maryland, 1985.
What kind of animal?
It doesn't say. Unknown.
Unknown.
Police respond to a report of teenagers making noise at Old Glendale Hospital site. While investigating, the officer hears unknown sounds but is unable to locate the source. 1990, Hyattsville. During a birthday party at Magruder Park, a boy runs into the woods after a ball. Moments later, he screams. When the adults arrive, they find him shaken. He tells his mother, "It was the dark thing with the red eyes who stands in the corner of my room at night."
Oh, so it's getting supernatural rather than just goat acts.
A group of teenagers are hanging out near a local bridge in Bowie, Maryland when they notice something moving in the weeds nearby. 98. Two of the teens go to investigate and describe seeing a tall, human-like animal running into the forest. And finally, 2007. Glenarden, Maryland. A camera crew for WRC-TV, Washington, D.C., is on location to cover a local golf tournament when they notice a strange animal moving nearby in the trees. The cameraman manages to capture just a few seconds of it before it disappears. I've been trying to find that footage, can't. So who or what is the Goatman? His origin story goes as follows.
Ooh.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Dr. Stephen Fletcher, who worked tirelessly at the U.S. Department of Agriculture, spent most of his time at his research lab. But no one suspected the terrible experiments being conducted at such an innocuous building.
Oh, this is a super budget Netflix movie. Goatman.
Within the laboratory...
An experiment gone wrong.
Within the laboratory, Dr. Fletcher was experimenting with goat genetics, desperate to harness
This is super budget crap American Netflix movie. This is like the Meg, but
I want
Goatman.
I want the listener to keep in mind that what Violet's saying is very cruel to Maryland in general. And also, I want you to know that there isn't a lot of meat to this story, so I've written my own version of this. And this is a quite entertaining
I'm just
tale.
saying, I can't help being classy. Of course, my urban legend animal hybrid man was going to have like a moralistic tone to it and about how we should be looking after the homeless better. I can't help if yours is a tacky Netflix movie. An experiment gone wrong. He went too bad with his genetic testing.
Oh my god.
Secret agricultural facility.
It's not even secret. Okay.
Who wrote that?
Within the laboratory, Dr. Fletcher was experimenting with goats, desperate to harness the strength of the goat and combine it.
Strength. An animal known for its strength. And they picked goats. It is a shit movie.
And combine it with the intelligence of man.
Oh, God. Why?
Dr. Fletcher confessed his terrible crimes and wrote in his diary about the accident that would change the course of Maryland history forever. In his scientific overzealousness, Dr. Fletcher had gone too far, much like Icarus, flying too close to the sun.
You know the catchphrase?
What?
Gone too bad.
Using the DNA of a goat and the DNA of his naive assistant, William Lotsford.
Why? I thought he was picking intelligence. You don't pick the naive assistant.
He doesn't want to use his own genetics. He experimented with a hybrid program. Unfortunately, a series of events would cause a terrible accident to occur. One of the creatures he had been developing using his new method created the creature we now understand to be the Goatman. While a half-man, half-goat hybrid was a great idea, Dr. Fletcher could not compensate for the violent and horrid nature that combining the two species created. The stubborn creature did not respond to any attempt at communication and saw only violent domination. It was not long before the Goatman escaped from the lab, stealing a fire axe from the building.
Of course.
He retreated into the woods along the Beltway and exacting revenge against the people who created him. Desperate to save his skin, the doctor scraps the entire research project as if it never happened. Years later, the building burned down. The rest of the evidence of the cruel experiment were now officially gone, minus Dr. Fletcher's diary.
You know what Maryland got their hands on was a rejected script for a Netflix horror movie.
They're like, DC's the Hollywood of the East, right? Okay, that's one origin story.
Okay.
I've got another. All right, other origin stories that have been quoted from Marylanders.
Okay.
The satyr in Greek mythology. Many Marylanders believe that it's actually a satyr, which is one of a class of lustful, drunken woodland gods. And that's why he tends to go after couples to creep them out when they're getting down and boogieing because they're jealous.
Okay.
In Greek art, they were also represented as a man with a horse's ears and tail, but in Roman representations as a man with goat's ear, tail, legs, and horns.
Yeah, so if you've watched Disney's Hercules, it's Philoctetes, who is played by, what's the voice? Is it Danny DeVito?
It is the guy from Seinfeld.
I don't know who that is. I don't know.
No, maybe I'm thinking of...
He's the little chubby goat dude.
Yeah, I'm thinking of somebody else. You're probably right. Okay. I'm thinking of the other movie, Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Yeah,
the gargoyle plays.
Hercules. We're going back to like ancient Greece.
Yeah, I don't know who plays the satyr in that. But it's like a comedian with sassiness. And
it's like a sassy...
It might actually be Danny DeVito. I think you're right.
It's like a sassy fat satyr.
So that's another thing, another possibility. The Piscataway native people believed a magical creature in the same area in Maryland had the ability to shapeshift into various animal forms. So the native...
Don't get me started on indigenous folklore about shapeshifters. There is some some scary stuff out there on that.
This was noted and written in 1666 by a Jesuit priest, in which the illustration of a Bigfoot-like creature standing on two legs appeared in the document. Many of these Goatman sightings and reports closely correlate to Bigfoot sightings that have been generated in the same exact area of Maryland for generations, including since the 1600s, including the numerous property attacks, which we will be covering later on in a different episode on Bigfoot, on the Sykesville Monster.
Ooh.
So definitely when we do a Bigfoot episode, I'm going about the Sykesville Monster. Look forward to it. Another possibility is the Hermit. Many sightings claim that the Goatman actually spoke to them, especially about people on private property. Many quotes included yelling, "This is my property, get the fuck out,"
Okay.
with an axe in hand.
Okay.
Also, there are satanic elements. We know that, the goat image or visage is associated with Satan, or the perceived image of Satan by pop culture and Christianity and stuff like that. So that's another quote-unquote origin story. So yeah, the actual origin story that goes around is the cheesy goat experiment thing. But like, it's a way cooler story. But, and there's 14 deaths. Were never actually reported. It's just rumor. Yeah. But I had to tell you that.
Of course, now we have to get the Netflix, the full script.
Here's some real deaths attributed to the Goatman. Because as we spoke about earlier, there's always really cool paranormal hunters. And the problem is, there's a bridge, and we'll get to it. So in 2016, Raquel Dane of Dayton, Ohio, was heading with her partner on a creepy adventure tour. They were going to be headed for the Waverly Hill Sanitarium. Sounds like my kind of day out.
Okay.
For a haunted tour.
Okay.
Before the tour, they decided to detour in search of the Goatman. So our kind of people.
So they're looking for trouble.
The problem is the bridge on Pope Lick Road is the spot to go. Yeah, Pope Lick Road.
That's like a British levels of silly, silly road name.
Like the River Piss.
River Piddle as well.
Okay, so the problem is you have to go up the bridge and between the trestles. So you have to go on a bridge and between the trestles to summon the Goatman. The problem is this is a track bridge for trains. And if you're halfway on the thing, the trains are traveling at more than 21 miles an hour. And even the fastest human, Usain Bolt, can't run that fast. You cannot outrun a train. So what happens is several deaths have been attributed to people walking on the bridge, not realizing, and a train comes and kills them. Now, Raquel was on this with her boyfriend when the train started coming, and they were in a quarter of the way down. They did not have time to jump it. So what they decided to do is to hang on the ledge. And her boyfriend managed to hold on, but unfortunately Raquel couldn't hold on, and she fell the 100 or so feet down to her death.
And this is like proper...
This is real. So the couple unfortunately weren't able to outrun it, or she wasn't able to hang on the trestles, and she couldn't win a race against a train, so she fell. Her partner managed to hold on to the rail, which is good, but this is just, she died from falling. This isn't the only unfortunate death attributed to the Goatman hunt. So as a precaution for listeners, if you're anything like us, we do go on these weird adventures sometimes. We sometimes go to seances and weird things. Like, I'm always looking for these things. If you're going to hunt, keep in mind that, especially if you're going for this Goatman adventure, that is private property. You're allowed to go under the bridge, which is a very creepy looking bridge, but you're not allowed to exit your car and go walkabouts because it is private property and it is very dangerous.
Don't be stupid.
Don't be stupid. Please follow the law and don't risk your lives in search of the fantastic when you can sit at home or in your car listening to us.
Don't be silly.
I'm just really worried because those are the kind of people I would be best friends with, and I wouldn't want to see my best friend get killed by a train or from falling because they were in search of the Goatman. At least look up train schedules. If you're going to do something like that, talk to locals or something. But please be careful. And that is the story of the Maryland Goatman.
Wow. So those were properly reported and stuff like that? That death?
Yes, that death is completely reported. And they're more like that, where people basically get caught on the tracks looking for or trying to summon the Goatman.
See, I mean, any scenario that I try to explain that with is unpleasant. I don't know. If the Goatman is real, then I would lean towards him being a person who is dressing up in a scary outfit and being crazy and maybe driving people off his property, or it's just like a crazy, I don't know, just a crazy, a lunatic in a goat outfit threatening people.
Well, according to the Maryland State Police, it is entirely a fiction and an urban legend. But it's what you want to believe.
Well, what do you think?
I have looked up a lot about the agricultural lab since this week, and there's nothing nefarious going on. It is there.
Yeah, they're just testing out like the best corn or like whatever you grow in the swamp.
And of course, this name's tied to people that roads are named after and stuff, so it all feels very legit. But it's one of those Maryland urban legends that maybe I'd go like walking around for the Goatman for fun, but I'm not expecting to find anything. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, no, I'd be too scared to go looking for the Goatman.
I'm looking for him. Stole the axe from the lab.
Oh, God.
Oh, man.
So, hope you enjoyed those little urban legends. I was trying to think about if there's any, like, silly urban legends around the town that we live in. Like, currently in Somerset. And the only urban legends that come to mind for me is, I mean, it's a British thing, but the tunnels underneath the town.
Oh, yeah.
They always connect like old pubs and stuff, and you can actually go on walking tours of them. But I mean, that's not so much of a legend because it is true. But yeah. I think in the past, when they were all kind of boarded up and stuff, it was a bit of a myth that there were tunnels still existing underneath the buildings in the town. I think I've actually seen the tunnels once, or the opening to one.
I've seen a couple openings before, yeah.
There's one by
the pub. I've never been. I was very close to crawling through one, but I have not. I have had the opportunity to. Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I would have to be more prepared than just like a drunk person being like, you want to go down there?
You want to go in the tunnel?
No, thank you. I would love to in the daylight, with a lot of protective equipment.
And a professional guide.
Yes.
So that's not really a legend because we actually know that they're real. But yeah, they're a great source of mystery and probably a great place to go, like urban, semi-urban exploring. Yeah. We did have something though when I was growing up here as a teenager, because I moved to this town when I was about 12 or 13. We had a character that became, in a way, its own kind of semi-urban myth. The Welsh Mill Flasher.
Oh, I've heard of this.
In this very town. Yeah, a flasher. So someone who, if you don't know what a flasher is, a person who was a pervert, basically, that exposes themselves. Often the stereotype is a man with a long Mac coat on and lifts it up to expose what's underneath on a naked body. Very often a man.
Penis.
The Welsh Mill Flasher. So he used to hang out in our town by this play park just along from the river, and he used to expose himself to people walking along the river or children playing in the park. And everyone, we used to freak each other out. We didn't like walking down there alone at night. There wasn't very good lighting back in the day. It was just a creepy, watch out for the pervert in the park story that was probably based on truth.
Probably based on an incident or something that got spread about to like warn young people.
So many people know about the Welsh Mill Flasher that I'm pretty certain if we talk to someone's mum who grew up here, they're gonna know the origin story for that. But one of my school friends, when we were about 17 or 16, we did a brilliant Halloween costume kind of group display for a party. And I was Miss Ronald McDonald, so I made my elaborate female Ronald McDonald costume.
I saw a pic, it looks great.
It was probably one of the best Halloween costumes I ever made. And my school friend Steph, she did a fabulous Halloween costume in a big black trench coat with a sash that said the Welsh Mill Flasher. So maybe you peeps listening at home or in your car or at work, or maybe you're lying in a bush munching on a dead rat right now. maybe you want to tell us about the urban legends in your town. What animal-human hybrid character stalks the alleyways and hedgerows of your city? Maybe your town also had a flasher pervert that hung out at the kids' park.
Maybe there's a man experimenting right now in your local agricultural laboratory to use the goat's strength. I wrote that line and I'm standing by it.
Send your stories to worldwearypodcast@gmail.com. Thanks to everyone that sent stories in already. Find us on iTunes, rate, review and subscribe to us there. Check out our website, worldwearypodcast.com. You can find all of the podcast information and our sources there. Check out our Twitter at worldwearypod for lots of updates. We're going to be releasing some little teasers and stuff there in the near future. And of course, our World Weary Podcast Instagram, because if you want to see the pictures and the photos that we mention in each episode, you'll be able to find all of them, plus some bonus pictures on there.
Please review us. Please give us a review.
Until next time, goodbye.
Bye.